We actually had a lot of intense ultrasounds when I was pregnant with Jacen because his brother is missing a kidney. And through all of those ultrasounds, everything came back normal. We were told he had no issues, everything was great. So when I went into labor and had him, there was this nurse there, and this very large man nurse was just, holding our tiny baby and listening to his heart, and he just kept telling us, not to leave the hospital without an echo. And we had talked to a couple of the doctors. They're like, it's fine, it's a murmur, you'll follow up with cardiology, it's not a big deal. But this nurse had very sternly told us that we needed to have it. So we pushed and got the echo. And then we were actually bags packed, ready to leave to take him home. And one of the doctors came flying in and said that emergency transport was on their way and we were heading to Iowa City emergently, that his heart was failing and that he had to go as fast as possible. So we went from thinking that he was perfectly healthy, normal baby, we were heading home, to this is very serious and not okay within just a couple of seconds. After being in the hospital, coming home, at least we had the certainty that he was going to be okay. We knew that there was a long road ahead. There was a lot to watch for, but there was a lot of relief in that, there was an intervention and he was doing well, but it was a lot of watching also. You find out that his heart's not functioning properly. There was a lot of nights of staying awake all night, just watching him breathe, making sure that everything was fine, constantly looking at what color he was he thriving? It was hard. It was hard coming home. You feel helpless, at that moment there was nothing that we could do to make it better or to take it away or to give him any sort of comfort that this was going to be an easy process, because we knew that it wasn't. As parents, I think our main goal is to keep him safe, and in that moment we couldn't do it, and it was the single hardest moment of our life.
Yeah, gut-wrenching.
And we had a lot of nights of terror and crying and
a lot of questions.
A lot of questions that some we couldn't even answer, and then kind of our favorite story with the process with him was there was one night he was just upset and he was crying and he was scared, and he walked into his room and all of a sudden he came out and he just had this kind of look to him, and we're like, what's going on? And he's like, okay, so they're gonna cut into my chest. And we're like, yeah, buddy, they're gonna cut into your chest and they're gonna fix it. And he looks us dead in the face and he's like, so I'll be Iron Man. And we're like, yeah,
yep,
you'll be Iron Man. And he's like, okay, cool. And turned around and walked back to his bedroom. And he was strong after that.
Yeah, he was very strong.
That was the last time that he panicked about his surgery, because he was turning into a superhero. So who would be afraid of that?
Yeah, because at that time, I'm pretty sure I had an Iron Man backpack. So that's like just the first thing that came to my mind, because I was reminded of the call from school. So I was like, we'll be Iron Man. It makes me feel really good when they said, you're my little superhero. He's going along with the Iron Man, because he's a superhero and he's like one of my favorites. The first time I told that I was going into surgery, I didn't really know how to feel. I was like, I don't know if I should feel lucky, happy, scared. And then the first time that I walked in, the first thing that came to mind was, this place is bigger than I thought. I was just pretty scared. I was like, what if this doesn't go right? And then when I finally came into recovery, I was just like, thank goodness.
Once we got into recovery with him, I don't know that anything can prepare you to see your child cut open and intubated. And he was still out. So we knew he wasn't in pain, and they kept telling us, he wasn't in pain, but nothing can prepare you for that.
I remember there was one time where I had to call back to the class that I was in to answer a couple questions, and they let me look at the class, and then I saw everybody run towards the camera, because I was friends with everybody at that time. It meant a lot when I saw them all rush towards the camera.
He's our old man, as we say all
He's
the time.
an old soul.
He's an old soul. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's so caring, and I think just because of everything that he's been through, he is mature beyond his years, for sure. He's been through things that grown-ups don't go through. He's been through growth and had to find strength where a lot of people couldn't, and I think even just daily, you can see that kind of in his resilience. But it is nice to be able to see him finally just get to be a kid again, too.
Yeah, I felt fine. I get tired sometimes, a little bit easier than some of my friends do, but it doesn't make that much of a difference.
Just with him having surgery so young, he will grow enough to where his heart does need something else, whatever that looks like, possibly another open heart, or, hopefully.
Who knows what they'll have at that point.
I think without the work of the American Heart Association, who knows where CHD research would be, right? Without funding and without advocacy and without awareness, all of these procedures don't happen. All the research doesn't happen. CHD is a tricky one for everybody. So the American Heart Association is giving that funding and that awareness to innovate and to come up with new technologies, new treatments, all of these different things that, we're hoping someday eliminates another open heart surgery for him, and for other kids, maybe they don't have to have an open heart surgery someday because of the work that the American Heart Association is doing.
I know they say that all the time about kids, but it was really incredible how he bounced back. He was never negative, I don't think, in the recovery. If he was in any amount of pain, he never really showed it.
It's made me a lot more courageous with things. If I've went through a heart surgery, I think I can do this.
Of course, there was discomfort and whatnot, but who wouldn't have been? So, I think just in that aspect, it was pretty incredible to see how he handled it all and try to take that into my everyday life as well.
If it was the same thing, I would say, trust me, I know you're scared, and I've been through this. It's not as bad as you think it is.
He's my little superhero, so he's been my buddy since day one, and just glad he's still around.
He is our Iron Man.
He is, for sure.